Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to be making a salmon Gravadlax with dill, beetroot and whiskey. Let's get into it. Okay, here we are. We've got a glass dish here, some cling film. We have our salmon. We've got some beetroot here and some salt and some demerara sugar. We've also got some 10-year-old Jura whiskey and dill. So we're going to use all this to cure our salmon with, and I'll take you through that process now. First thing we want to do is put the cling film into our glass dish. Now, the only reason we're using a glass dish here is so that you can see it, but if you don't have a glass dish, you can use a metal tray. The cling film is really there just to keep the cure on the salmon whilst it's doing its thing. So we're going to cure this essentially with the salt. First thing we'll do is we'll put this salmon in to our bowl. Before we do that, I just want to put a little bit of salt on the base. Okay, so about 2 tablespoons of salt on the base. This can sit on that. Now that's just really going to act as a sponge, essentially. You can get rid of that. Okay, so our salmon is now ready to accept the cure. So we're going to put some salt on this, and we've got about 2 tablespoons of salt that's going on this, and I'm going to try and do it as evenly as possible. A little bit more salt on the thicker bits, a little less salt on the thinner bits, and that is going to be enough to cure this salmon. So we're going to cure this for around about 24 hours in the fridge, and it's going to infuse all those lovely flavours that we're about to put on it. So that's 2 tablespoons of salt on top, 3 tablespoons underneath. That kind of just acts as a sponge. Obviously, as this cures, it's going to suck out some of the moisture from that salmon. Now, to give it a little bit of sweetness and cut through some of that harshness from the salt, we're going to put a little bit of demerara sugar. I say a little bit. That is about 2 tablespoons of demerara sugar. You want that nice sweetness coming through. And the next thing that's going to go on this before we put the beetroot on is the dill. So I'm going to cut a few fronds of dill. It's a lovely flavour, goes so well with salmon. And just take a little bit here. We're actually going to serve this once it's cured with a Hollandaise sauce. And we're going to use dill in that Hollandaise sauce as well. So this is for show. And the Hollandaise sauce is going to give us a really nice bit of flavour. You will get some flavour coming through with this, but this really does look lovely on the surface against the red of the beetroot. And we'll just make sure this is really chopped finely. We want this to stick essentially to the top layer of the salmon. We'll put a little bit on this before we actually slice it as well, but I want this really for flavour. So we'll keep a bit of this back for the Hollandaise, and then we're also going to keep a bit of this back to dress the salmon once it's cured. So this is really to get some flavour in, and we'll just layer this nice and evenly over the surface. Oh, I absolutely love Gravlax. You wouldn't ordinarily smoke this, but if you wanted to cold smoke it, you could absolutely cold smoke it. It would be delicious. But we're not going to cold smoke this one. We've got another one we'll do later, which has got less ingredients on the top. We will smoke that. So we're now going to put some beetroot on the surface, and all I'm going to do with this beetroot is slice it into very thin slices, about 1/8 of an inch or 3mm thick. And we're going to lay this on the surface. Of the salmon. There we go. Lovely. And this will give a little bit of flavour. There's not a great deal of flavour in this beetroot. It has a nice sort of earthy flavour. But what we want from this is the colour that it's going to give us. So when you cut through these slices of salmon, you'll see the top edge will be red from that beetroot, and it looks absolutely stunning. And that's something that we want to do. So we'll just cut this piece of beetroot into two. Last few slices going on. Okay, try and make it. I didn't want to use a large beetroot on this, so I think I'll gauge this just right. So there we go. Bit of a wipe down. Last thing to go on is going to be our 10-year Jura whiskey. Now, some might think this is a little bit of a sort of extravagance. Well, it is really, I guess. But, you know, whenever you use liquor like this in curing, it's actually the law that you have to have a little sip of it first. Oh, that's amazing. Okay, we'll just dribble this on to the surface. And that's another reason why we got this cling film in here, because we want to keep all this fluid in really close contact with the fish. Okay, last few drops can go in me. Oh, that is delicious. Right. Here we go. Let us close this up, and we'll come back to this in 24 hours. So we're going to pop this in the fridge. Now, if you didn't have a glass tray or anything to put this on, you can keep wrapping this in some cling film or stretch wrap to keep all that contents in there, because when you put this into the fridge, if there are any leaks in here, certainly with beetroot, they'll find their way out and you'll end up having a big cleanup operation in the fridge, and you don't really want that. So that's ready to go in the fridge. We'll come and visit this in 24 hours where we will take it out, make the hollandaise sauce, dress the top of this and serve it up. Absolutely delicious. Okay, Gravadlax has been curing for 24 hours. I just wanted to tell you though that I did actually place a weight on top of this, equivalent to about the weight of the container it's in. So it wasn't too heavy, but it just sat on top, helps push out all this moisture, and you can see how much moisture has come out. It's a fair old whack. So we're going to process this now.